This is probably going to be my most disliked video, but I don't give a shit. Bring it on. The moment I start lying to the world for internet clout, someone please just shove an arrow up through my mattress and kill me while I sleep. Listen, if you love the original Friday the 13th movie, the one that came out back in 1980, this video is not going to be for you. Just think of it like a support group, a safe space where those of you who correctly think this movie sucks butt can find community, catharsis, and healing. So welcome everybody, have a seat. My name is Jake.
Hi, Jake.
And I am a Friday the 13th hater. Welcome back everybody, I'm Jake the Scary Story Guy, and today we are kicking it back to 1980, talking about one of the original slasher movies, Friday the 13th. Now even the biggest horror fans among us have our blind spots, and this whole Friday the 13th franchise has certainly been one of my most glaring. Because along with Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday the 13th franchise really shaped the entire slasher genre for decades. So when I looked at the calendar and saw that a Friday the 13th was coming up in the middle of October, no less, I knew what had to be done. And man, the things I do for my throngs of loyal subscribers. I didn't think it was possible for a 90-minute movie to feel like it was 3 hours, but here we are. Unlike the far, far superior Halloween, which came out just a couple of years earlier, Friday the 13th was not directed by an undisputed master of the genre. Our director here is Sean S. Cunningham, a man who, prior to directing Friday the 13th, was best known for his work in the white coater genre, which, according to my research that I just did 5 minutes ago, was a way for pornographers to evade the censors by claiming their films were educational. And with that context, I suppose it makes sense that the only halfway decent scene in this film takes place in a bed. All that being said, I do feel the need to defend Cunningham from the famed critic Gene Siskel, who, after seeing this movie, called him, a bit rudely, I think, one of the most despicable creatures to ever infest the movie business, which I find about 15 or 20% too harsh. Okay, so Friday the 13th is about a group of teenagers at summer camp. They're not the campers, they're the counselors, and they're all there a few days early getting things set up. One by one, of course, they all start to die, and it's like, oh no, stop, don't. Who's doing this? The answer to that question isn't really narratively satisfying, it just sort of comes out of nowhere, and none of the characters are compelling or interesting in the least, so you don't really care who dies or when, but yeah, that's the movie. And the first thing that really stands out to me is just how shoddily made this feels. I get that they had a cheap budget, but Halloween had a cheaper budget, Evil Dead had a cheaper budget, and those are just way better movies. The acting is just student film level from beginning to end. No disrespect to our guy Kevin Bacon, but even he's not great in it. The opening scene of the movie, two camp counselors sneak off together to get it on. The guy gets killed by an unknown assailant, and the camera freezes on the girl's face right as she's about to get killed. And this is what her face looks like, the shot that's supposed to set the tone for the movie. Does this look like a girl who's about to get murdered to you? I mean, am I crazy? She looks happy. She looks like she just walked in on her surprise birthday party. And it really doesn't go uphill from here. The pacing of this movie is insane. It's why it feels so long. You'll have 20, 25-minute stretches where it seems like characters are just kind of having conversations. Nothing scary is even hinted at. And then you'll get two murders in the span of like a couple of minutes, and then it's just back to conversations again. And none of the characters even realize there's a killing spree going on until like more than 2/3 of the way through the movie. So there's none of this like, oh, the characters are hiding, it's very intense, what's gonna happen? It honestly just feels like a collection of random scenes of summer camp. People talking, people playing games, people singing songs, people having sex, people getting murdered. So that, combined with the dialogue that we'll call wanting, to say the least, really gives this film the impression of a movie without a script. Like if you told me there was actually no script to this movie, I'd believe you. Like everyone just kind of showed up somewhere and wang it. That's not winged it. Like, okay, everyone go stand over by the lake and just, you know, act like you're teenagers at summer camp. And then just roll the camera for 5 minutes, and whatever they come up with, that's what's in the movie. And the whole movie is every bit as boring as that sounds. I mean, there's no tension, there's no terror, even the kills are just completely uncreative. Like, if you're gonna forego the spectacle of having these kids, like, knowing they're being hunted and having them get killed in front of each other, it's all just kind of one-on-one with the killer, then you've gotta make the kills really cool to make up for that. And this is just, there's no passion behind any of it. It's stabbed in the stomach, knife to the throat, axe to the head. Feels like it was written by a fucking 9-year-old. And I'm sure a lot of this movie's kind of lasting success is just that. It's nostalgia. I saw this when I was 9, when I was 10, and it scared the shit out of me. Honestly, I'm struggling to imagine a world where even kids found this scary. Even back in 1980 when they hadn't seen, I presume some must have. But I mean, you watch The Exorcist, you watch The Evil Dead, and even if not all of that stuff is scary to a modern audience, it's like, I get it, right? The scares are expertly crafted. This is stuff no one had seen before. With Friday the 13th, I have to admit, I'm at a loss. The hype, the reputation, it all just feels totally unwarranted to me. Even the ending, which, first of all, was spoiled for me by the opening scene of Scream, but I did still feel like it had potential. I mean, the killer being the mother of a kid, a camper, who died here back in the day at this camp, that like, oh, the counselors weren't paying attention and the kid drowned. That's a pretty fun premise, I think. Her kid, of course, being Jason, the hockey mask-wearing antagonist of future films in this franchise that I'm just not sure I can bring myself to ever watch. But yeah, I just feel like there's a way that that reveal could have been like an oh shit moment. Instead, it just ended up feeling random, haphazardly slapped together. There was no setup for it. It was just kind of like, oh, by the way, which is not what you want. Guys, this movie just feels so half-assed. I mean, the direction, the plot, the pacing, the acting, the finale. I'm sorry, other than one halfway decent kill, there's just not a lot to recommend here. And usually with quote-unquote classic horror movies, even if you don't think it holds up super well, you can at least see like, oh, there's a lot of passion here, a lot of creativity. I can see what the deal was. And if you do understand it, if you can manage to even like this movie, congratulations, I'm happy for you. You're certainly not alone, but I have to confess myself nonplussed. I'm gonna give Friday the 13th 1.5 stars out of 5 and happily turn my attention to greener pastures. Alright guys, stay tuned for more spooky content coming soon. We've got a lot of stuff this October that I am really excited to talk about. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.